2, 3, yes, and we start the show. The show is on. Am I in the camera? I don't know if I'm in the camera. Yeah, I hope so. So,
Can actually move this table a little bit.
this was a powerful opening. Okay, so today we are going to discuss. The topic will be announced by Maria.
I think the most interesting, intriguing, and most popular topic today is relationship. And we started this morning with this topic. What do you think? Should we continue elaborating a little bit further? Or you want to discuss something more abstract? Yay, my second coffee for today. Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah. Oh, very good, very good. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it is an important topic. I would say it's the only topic in the world, relationship, but I will take it from in my way. Thank you. I'll take it like not a relationship between two people, but a relationship with you and the world, the environment. More introspective. Okay, let me have this thing because it looks like you are not.
Too much coffee.
You are always in a relationship with someone. Maybe you are in a relationship with your new laptop, with your coffee, with your wife, with your coffee cups. There's always a relationship between you and the world, the environment, and that is the important relationship. Now, if you, I would say, like, if you, I'm supposing you are not yet there, but if you fix the relationship with yourself, the most important relationship amongst all these relationships, it is you, it is yourself, it is the world, and it's your family, friends, co-workers, and all this stuff. So I think the hardest problem for people, and for myself, and for everybody else, I believe, is fixing the relationship with yourself. I can say from my own experience, this is a very tedious process. There is a lot of negativity when you are fixing the relationship with yourself. There's a lot of negativity. It's coming from the outside world. It's coming from your family, from your co-workers, from the coffee, from the waitress. It is tough to be in good terms with yourself. But now, once you fix these terms with yourself, for example, if the things that you planned yesterday didn't happen exactly as you planned them today, maybe you should forgive yourself. That is part of the relationship. If you understand that forgiving yourself, it's a good thing.
It's very powerful.
Yeah, it is very powerful because I can just give analogy, how I live recently. I'm planning a lot of things. Some are little things, some are like medium-sized things. And
sounds of Brooklyn.
And in the back of my head, I have some big things planning. Like super, super big. But I somehow, for the last couple of years, I kind of get in terms with me. If these things do not happen, I will not blame myself. And that is a good start of relationship with yourself, Today I had to do something very important. I had to wake up 7 in the morning and I had to call maybe 50 to 100 people on the phone, and I know this will take time, but somehow I end up here drinking coffee and doing nothing of this. That was like ultra important for me, very important for me, for some part of whatever. It doesn't matter what is it important, but it was I'm under a lot of stress now. But somehow I learned to live with myself, even when I'm not doing the things I'm supposed to do. So that's the first step, relationship with yourself, to be in good terms. Now, the miracle part is that once you get to that point to live well with yourself, somehow magically all your relationships are no longer a problem. You somehow, even your wife is pissed off or angry or not in good moods, let's say, in the bad moods, you somehow handle the relationship because you are not reactive. You are not angry at her why she's in a bad mood. Okay, that's how she is. And but this is because I dealt good with myself. If I could not handle myself, I would be like super reactive. But what do you mean, blah blah blah, why are you talking this shit, and blah blah blah. And then our relationship will eventually get to a point that we will no longer be able to look at each other and even talk, even to communicate. So that's my point. The relationships are important, but the relationship with yourself, it is of the highest importance. Yeah, so now let's hear the...
Well, I couldn't put it any better, and I sign under every single word you just said, especially about self-forgiveness, because I believe there's a point at your life, at any person's life, when we blame ourselves for something, and then we forget that it happened, that we blamed ourselves. But guess what? The guilt stays. And it is number one obstacle on the way to a peaceful and harmonious relationship with yourself. So it's very, very, very important to go back, to recall this moment of when you couldn't forgive yourself, and to actually mentally do an exercise of forgiving yourself, of speaking to your old self and saying, I forgive you, you are not to be blamed. But there's a very tricky thing here. It can be, self-forgiveness can be easily mixed up with finding excuses for certain things that you haven't done and could do. So the borderline is very thin, it's blurry. So I would say, do not mix self-forgiveness and constant search of excuses. But it's not my fault. I overslept. I didn't take this opportunity. I didn't take that opportunity. I upset my partner.
I have a good excuse, like the standard excuse is like, that's how things are.
Yeah.
That's how it is. That's what it is. What it is.
That's how it is. Actually, that's how it is.
In American, it is what it is. It's a double-edged sword of this process. Like when people say it is what it is, it means two things. Maybe it's not what it is. Maybe it's just themselves excusing themselves for the things they are not doing right, and they know. And if they keep saying this excuse, it is what it is, one day gonna wake up and they're gonna say, wait a minute, that's not how the things are. I should have done this, and then the guilt gets even deeper. It's a very dangerous.
So I would say that acceptance is a very good thing. So if something happened, it happened. There shouldn't be any tears and any cry over spilled milk. So it's too late to cry. It's too late to blame yourself, but acceptance is good. Yes, it is what it is, but it's important to understand that it is. Okay, so further to relationships between people. So you forgave yourself, meaning you can forgive other people if needed, and it's always needed. Then, what is the step number one, or one important thing in building a harmonious relationship with your partner? According to you, what do you think? It's just one archi important.
Okay, there's a very important
Step.
concept here. This is not about the game, okay? I'm just joking.
This is not about the game. I'm not the player.
Yeah, I am the player. I am the player. Thank you for accepting me as a player. But let's go to Jesus' teachings. Jesus once said, sounds so good. Jesus once said, okay, just give it to me because you are making a lot of sounds. I mean, the microphone is doing the sounds. Jesus once said one very powerful truth about people. And he said, that's an act of kindness. And he said, forgive them for who they are and forgive them for what they do not know. That's a very powerful in any way, in philosophically, emotion, whatever you slice this Jesus kind of observation of life, because Jesus was enlightened person, and he probably dealt with all these people, not enlightened people. So at one point he probably realized, well, they are who they are, and the only way for me to show them how they can get better is first to look at them through this lens, forgive them for what they do not know. I mean, like the Bible people, they say they are the sinners, you know. And Jesus was looking at the sinners in a very peculiar way. If we know that from the history of Jesus, historically, we know that he did a very not accepted things for that time. He was like living in 2,000 years or maybe 5,000 years in the future. He wasn't blaming the other people for what they do, for example. Prostitutes, whatever, he was not judging them. He understood that it's better to forgive them who they are and to treat them like normal human beings rather than putting labels on them and telling, you know, and also for all his disciples and congregations that they had. It's a very good approach. So when you deal with somebody, here is a person here, there will be always a different opinion. Nobody will be actually thinking exactly as you think, because you are the sum total of all your life experiences, the impressions of your life. So you have unique perspective of looking at things. You have like the most unique perspective of all the things. They will be never two people the same. You know, that's your uniqueness. But now when you see somebody else, instead of blaming them for that they are not you, you just accept them and say, hey, this person is not me. First of all, for example, here on the table, first of all, she's female. That's like completely different human animal. If we want to degrade the human to animal, different biology, different looks, different organs, different functions, different brain waves, different thinking. So you accept them for who they are, and if they make a mistake, you say, hey, forgive them for what they do not know. That might be they didn't know that by doing certain things, they may hurt you. But they didn't know. They didn't do it like, oh, you know what? We are in a relationship and I'm now going to do something and I'm going to hurt this person in the relationship. It doesn't make sense, right? But the perspective is you have to keep this in mind. Forgive them for who they are and actually love them. Not only Jesus go to a higher level. Not only forgive them for who they are, but also love them for who they are. And they may be terrible people, but if you have this power to love, that's another Jesus thing, love your enemy. Is it true? Is it not true? Some people will say no. Dan Penne would say, you know, fuck this philosophy. I don't like this philosophy. And he would say, there is a controversy in the Bible, eye for eye. You know, if you do harm, I do harm. But I think the better policy is just to forgive them for who they are and forgive them for the mistakes and just accept them and love them, and that's it. Okay, thank you. What you can say on that?
Okay, so I can summarize that basically what you just said, you said that you should embrace the differences. When you're in a relationship with someone, you will always, you will often think differently. And the point is that embrace this difference, accept it, and do everything through love.
Yeah, and one thing I can say, you cannot change them. You know, I learned this from the quotes. You can never change people. Don't. What was the quote? Okay, let me come up with the quote to remember the quote. Don't ever, don't ever overestimate the power of changing people, but never underestimate the power of people changing themselves. So you practically, you know, you have to accept them because you cannot change them. They can change for themselves. So you, if you try to change the relationship, you should look at completely different perspective. Like, you know, this person is who she is, or that guy, or a woman, or man. This is who they are. I accept them. I love them. And you, if you want to be in relationship with them, maybe you should have a better game. A better game, it's very crucial to the better game sometimes.
It's a topic for another channel.
No, it's a topic for any channel. The game is so universal. It's called inner game. You know, for the other channel that would be inner game. What is your inner game? Inner game is, can you find another way of communicating with people if X amount of communication techniques don't work, right? You want to communicate something to somebody and you tried and you failed and you failed and you failed, but you can always find a different way of communicating to people, and that's called good game. That's really good game, you know, like upper level game. She asked me just before, but how you operate? Yeah, there's a simple game and there's a higher game. You know, you have to be a higher game. You have to be a higher player to know how to operate with other people, because sometimes they are very resistant. They don't accept who you are. They don't accept. You know, they always want to change you, and it never works for them and for you.
Yeah. So I think that people want to change each other mostly because of miscommunication. And another clue, I believe, another important aspect for any healthy relationship is good communication. So whenever a problem occurs, it's better to verbalize it, calmly discuss what you don't like or how you feel about a certain situation. For example,
one more thing, and also the frequency of the communications. If you are growing apart, if you are talking to your wife every once a week or once a day, that's not a good thing. But if you have something to say, like we communicate every day. Sometimes we communicate in front of the camera, but the reality is that the frequency is also important. You know, how many times during one day you communicate? Do you call your wife, hey, what's up, hungry? You know, I hate this shit when she starts asking me, how do you feel? All this, just shut up. You know, I don't know, how do I feel? Oh, yeah, but I have to listen, you know. Oh, yeah.
it's fine.
Okay, so now microphone is yours.
So yeah, what we've already discussed. We discussed that it's important to forgive yourself, important to forgive your partner or your friend, doesn't matter. And it's important to accept and embrace the differences, your differences and his or her differences. And it's important to communicate. And whenever a problem occurs, and if it's bothering you, do not hold it inside. Do not try to suppress the problem, because it will eventually blow up. Someday, one small little drop will blow up. What else is important? I think We were listening to one relationship coach recently. You sent me a very interested person who had like 3 or 4 marriages. Who had 3 or 4 marriages before that.
Tell them the story about this.
Yes, he said his first marriage was not very happy because they didn't have any interests in common with his wife. No interest, no job, nothing. So the marriage ended. Second marriage was a little different because they actually worked with his wife on the same project, and they spent like 8-9 hours in the office, and they were constantly discussing their project, their professional stuff. But it didn't work because it was too much. Imagine 8, 9, 10 hours in the office, and then you have to go out with this person, and you come home with the same person. So his idea was that his next marriage was more successful because they had different professions with his wife, but they have a common hobby. And he said no matter what it is, pottery or traveling together or drawing together or doing yoga, it's important to have something in common, like a hobby or a side project you're working on together. So I think this is another important aspect, that you have to spend time together, and the time has to be quality time. And what can be more qualitative if not the common interest you both spend energy on together? For example, in our case, we have several interests in common. We both have YouTube channels. Yeah, my partner, he was the first one to open it a few years ago. He was so into it, I was against it. I didn't understand it. Like, hey, why would you waste your time running with your camera, speaking to strangers, asking them questions and all that stuff? It doesn't work. Do something more important, do something more meaningful. Guess what? In a couple of years, he convinced me to open my channel. And what I do now, I am reviewing national parks and log cabins and different property types. Do not interrupt me, please.
I want to advertise.
When next time. So yeah, and we find it interesting. Plus, he always invites me to his daily vlogs, where we have daily discussions on different interesting topics. Such as this one. Today we're discussing relationship. And another interest we have is probably seeing new places. And every single week we go to a new place, new park, new house, probably new state, and we discover a new place for ourselves. So I think it's crucial for you guys to have something in common. Maybe not job, maybe not business, but some side projects, some certain interests need to match for a successful relationship.
Buy and export cars. Time for advertisement. So now I want to reflect on her things. First of all, let's talk about this guy who I will mix everything, advertisement and everything. So now, this guy, when I first found this guy in YouTube, I looked at the guy and said, "What is this guy? Doesn't look like a good player." You know, but I said to myself, you can always learn from somebody. If you are alert enough, it will be bits of wisdom and truth. And I say, let me check this guy, what he is talking about. And I watch the whole video, 15 minutes, and I say, wow, this guy is like, yeah, he's doing the right things. He's saying the right stuff. And I sent the video to her just to see what she will say. And she said the same thing. Yeah, that's right. Now, time for advertisement. This guy is a man. So now, if you are a man, you should go to my other channel. And in this channel, I have, this is advertisement, of course. In this channel, I do have one topic. It's called, it's about 2 hours long, in section in bits of pieces, like 15-minute segments or 5-minute segments. It's about how to design your life as a man. And the emphasis on this thing, it's the word design, not just go through the motion of your life cluelessly, don't know what to do. I think it's if you're a man, you should immediately go to this channel and learn how to design your life as a man. And yesterday we was walking at night towards the Delhi, and I reflected. I tried to tell her these things, and all of a sudden I realized that if I change, it was a segment in the video that I'm talking about how to incorporate other people into your life. Incorporating and integrating is the word, not balance, you know. So the basic concept is that you can balance the people like a checkbook, or you can incorporate them like what life is actually incorporation. And then I was trying to convey this idea to her, and all of a sudden I realized that I was talking to men on that channel, but all I said is, listen, if I just substitute the words him, he with her and she, that would be very helpful to women, because also women, on the other hand, in a relationship, they have to integrate their man, they have to integrate their boyfriend or whatever stage of, you know, they have to integrate this partner into their life. And this is what she said is very important. Part of the integration is common hobbies, common interest. If you don't have common interest, certainly your relationship is going towards decline. If you are, she's IT. If she only has this IT, I would be soon bored, and soon she will find some Josh in the HR department, or Bill in the whatever department, engineering. She will find someone that's like, I cannot be. But because we have common interest, we keep the relationship fresh, and Josh has less chances to show up on the scene. Now, Josh always have chance to show up on the scene, but since I'm keeping the relationship and she's keeping the relationship fresh by doing different activities and hobby, Josh or Bill, they have less and less chances. So if this is like a dating advice, it will sound like a little bit like, yeah, hobbies, interest, common goals. It's another thing that common goals, sometimes they don't have to be financial, but buying a house together, it will keep you forever. If you buy a house with your wife, don't do that, okay? Just don't do that, because it's like no good, you know. But I'm saying common stuff, common interests, common hobbies. Once again, they don't have to be financial. If you go in the financial department, you got to be very careful how to deal, because there's a lot of feminazi movement right now. And I told you about this story about this woman and this guy. They got married this is another internet story, I cannot not mention this, but all of a sudden the woman got super rich. I mean, like super rich, like making some substantial money, 10 times more than the guy. And then the debate in some men community website was, should the man receive some money? Because all of a sudden she was making $1,000 a day and he is making $50,000 a year. She makes $1 million, and I said, of course not. Of course not. He should not receive any money of her things, because, you know, he should man up and go do some Uber job or whatever he just to do, just to put himself in the right perspective, you know. If she is doing that much money, he's a man, he can do equally good money in pursuing something else. That's all I'm trying to say. But commonalities are good thing to be integrated. Yes, I said it.
Yes, friends, we can probably elaborate on this for hours and hours and hours, because it's an endless topic. There are many suggestions and many deviations, methods to keep your relationship healthy and in good harmony. But yeah, once again, to point out the most important aspects we came up with today is build up a healthy relationship with yourself. In order for that, try to forgive yourself. If you feel guilt, then try to be forgiving with your partner. accept your partner, embrace the differences you guys have, then
Hobbies and commonalities,
then yes, spend time together in order for that
frequency.
time together and frequency, and in order for that you have to have something in common, come up with something, invent something, be creative. And yes guys, I think it was a long video and a very good video, to my opinion a very important one. If you have any suggestions and if you think differently, of if you support our ideas, it would be great guys if you could let us know in the comments below. We will answer all your comments and we'll read them very carefully. So yeah, yes, I'm reading the comments very carefully. If you don't read, I will read and I will answer. Yeah.
I have an assistant. Okay, now this video, as she say, it's so important that I'm gonna do the closing with a big, a big, a big saying from my mentor Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn simply says this. Yeah, are we still on record? Yeah. So you have to take and just go around. So Jim Rohn said one very important thing. If you want to get rich, study rich people. If you want to become successful, study successful people. If you want to have healthy relationship, study a relationship. And you can see the commonality in all these sentences is the word study. Do not be haphazardly going through life without knowledge. Be curious, ask questions. Check this channel, subscribe to this channel. As you can see, the name of the channel is Why Not Ask? And that's the whole purpose of life. Why not ask? Why not know more? Why not grow more? And to grow more, you have to study. Be a student, don't be a follower. And if you want your relationship to get in a better direction, just study relationship. Anybody, any of your friend can give you a little bit of truth and opinion. Be wise and study relationships. That's it.